On this episode of Gasser Works, we teach you how to install upper BMR control arms in a 1990 Mustang Fox body.
You just have to start them out at stock length or match them up to what was there. Once we get them on there, we'll show you how to set them to get the right pinion angle on the car. Definitely one at a time. That way the rear end doesn't move around, do crazy things while you got them off. And it's just much easier to set up that way. What's cool about these is it's got this center bolt, basically. It's got a left hand, right hand, and each of these pieces are just, like I've dealt with a lot of them that have a link in the middle with like rod end type deals. I just think I might like these better. Break it loose before you put it in the car so you don't have to work so hard.
Right.
I almost think a drill bit would do not as good of a job. Saw me try and plug it into the damn burbot side, right?
So apparently, to install these BMR uppers, you have to
Put 1/2-inch bolts in the front.
You got to drill it out, or in this case, burbot it out tight like a fox.
This week we're trying to promote against the unprovoked harassment of foxes.
Don't be harassing the foxes.
Don't harass foxes. This looks mighty long.
That's so you get a lot of torque on it.
You get no torque. So it all disappears
into
into the extensions.
Now you can stick a nut on it.
Yeah, you gotta get some nuts. It's funny when it falls onto your thumb. You can't stop it.
Migrate everything over to the other side. Bigger size hole, but it's in the same.
Can't do that.
Oh yeah.
It's stuck on the stupid.
The passenger side is one you want to install with your foot.
Takes extreme. Extreme patience. Look at that.
Yeah. Look at there.
Well, what we're going to do, we need to set it on the ground in front. We need to jack all the weight on the rear end and set it on jack stands on both sides.
That is what we are trying to adjust right there, is the angle of that drive shaft to that rear end. That way it doesn't blow the tires out from underneath it. We want it to hook.
Well, right now, the drive shaft is like this to the rear end. Slightly, but it is. And it needs to be like this.
Right.
And we got these adjusters on these control arms that allow us to do that. So we're gonna run them in and gain some bite on the back end of this car.
By running them in, it pulls the top end of the rear end forwards and rolls the rear end this way.
And right now, it looks like we got an awful lot of preload on the wrong side of the car too. So because of the fact that the car wants to take off and raise up this way, we want a little preload in this top bar.
In the passenger bar.
Right, so it's already pushing down on this side of the car, well, on this side of the rear end, if you have preload in this bar is what I'm saying.
Preload being put longer.
Ready to go, yeah, put longer. So it would actually be, I would go to where this was neutral, and you could flop it back and forth, and then I would just put a flat, or like a flat meaning a flat side of a 6-point nut longer than that bar. On this car, because the top control arms are facing in at a diagonal, it also holds the rear end of the car center. So in adjusting the preload and adjusting pinion angle and everything else on this particular car, or a G-body or anything that's set up this way, you have to check all three of those things. You have to check side to side against where the rear end's sitting under the car, and you have to check your pinion angle to see how much angle this drive shaft has to the yoke that's going to it, and then you have to check your preload on this bar right here. That's how you square the rear end, and then we're going to square the front of the car
With strings.
And everybody will know how to do that.
What do you think she's gonna run down the track? A quarter mile.
Man, I think she'd do 11s all day.
What do you think, David?
Absolutely. 11 was the question.
I think if in a bind we could make her push off some high 10s, but that's like that's getting dangerous to the motor.
I put $5 on 11-12.
11-12.
That's what I'm talking about.
$5 says first run is 11-12.
I need to run that side in. It's got to go that way, like a 1/4 inch. So I got to run that side in.
All right, so now we're running strings on the car. So practically what you're gonna do is you set one jack stand in front of it, run a string all the way around, wrap it around the rear tires, come back forward, around the front tire into another jack stand. What you're achieving here is once you got your rear end all squared up, you're gonna get this line perfectly. You want it just touching it, just touching the tire, not bowed over it, nothing, just touching it so it's straight with the tire. And then you use that as a measuring point for your front tire here. You can even measure center to measure in and out.
Tells us the rear end in the car is fairly straight because the distance from the string to the front tire is pretty close.
Right.
Like you would actually, in order to make sure that the rear end is perfectly square in the car front to back, like the left side is the same distance front to back as the right side, which we can't change it because the lowers aren't, and the lower control arms aren't adjustable. But these are obviously made pretty good because it's the same. You would measure from here to the center of the center cap. And if it's the same, then the rear end is square in the car. Now we can get it pretty close.
That's as long as you don't have adjustable A-arms.
That's right, which we don't have those either.
Yeah, we don't have adjustable A-arms in the front, so. But if you do have adjustable A-arms in the front, you gotta square the rear end off the body of the car. We got some good camber going on.
Way too much camber going on.
Camber being, this would be negative camber, that would be positive camber. Right now we got some negative camber going on.
Like an inch.
Yeah, a good inch of negative camber. However many degrees that is.
A lot.
A lot of degrees. So by jacking up the front of the car, we have taken the weight off the front shocks. That way we can loosen these caster camber plates and move them out a little bit. That way we get a little less negative camber. Just like that. Alright, so all the brakes are bled. We lined up the front end. We got a little nose piece going in the bumper. It's in there right now. We're about to crank it up and let it drive out of the shop. How's that shifter feel?
Wonderful, he says.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is just short though as would be. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah. Almost.
Hey, wait. I'm gonna have to ground the wheel on it.
Alright, so it is day 2. We still haven't fixed the leak in the air compressor, so don't mind the squeal. Getting this car ready to go to paint tomorrow. It's gonna drive to paint. So we have a number of things to accomplish before it can drive on the street again. While I was editing Malone Monday, Michael made a fan shroud fit it. This is looking absolutely sweet. I love that. We have to get our coolant overflow mounted. David has already gone ahead and put the new felts in the windows. So we got new weather stripping for the whole car. We're going to wait to put the carpet in it, I think. Obviously, to have it ride down the street, it's going to have tail lights on it, headlights, going to have the back hatch on it and the hood bolted to it. Of course, those things are going to come back off once they get to the paint shop, but Michael also has some welding to do underneath this car before we could set it on the ground finally. And we already lined up the front end. We did that yesterday, y'all saw that. Now it's just on to finishing the last few things on our list here. Show me! Sophie. What are you doing, Sophie?
Didn't need that part, right?
No, we didn't. We didn't need that in there. Clearance front fenders, y'all just watched that. Well, we put door locks,
That's right.
actuators in the doors, replaced the window motors,
Window felt.
the felts in there.
Most of it's sanded.
There was some sanding David did on there,
I did a bunch of welding on it,
and then
like right here.
welding on the cage.
Close the floorboard back up, and like whoever put the subframe connectors in it originally had like, I don't know, a very tiny welder that didn't weld.
The subframe connectors and those tubular bars added there, those have been re-welded now. And they're not tubular, they're square tube bars.
Well, it's square tube, so it would be tubular.
It is still tubular. It's square tubular.
Totally tubular, man.
We got all those things accomplished today. Tomorrow we have to
Wire the fans.
wire the fans. We have to
Have 10 minutes of welding.
10 minutes of welding. We gotta
Put it back.
put headlights back in it, put the wheels back on it, set it on the ground, and then David's gonna drive it to the paint shop. We're gonna put him in a trailer.
We'll put David in a trailer with his car. He's just gonna be sitting in. No, we're driving the trailer and the truck with the car to David's house because he just has no other way to get both cars to his house. And then he's driving this car Thursday morning to the paint shop. And they're gonna paint it, and then the next time we see it, it'll be beautiful.
So, like, comment, subscribe, and you'll get more of this stuff